This podcast is produced by OnPod, a video content studio near you.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, we're here with Izzy Poirier. Thank you so much for being here today.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me.
I'm excited for the question, so we'll jump right into it. A lot of people think branding is just about logos and colors. How do you define strategic branding, and why does it matter so much for cultural organizations and NGOs?
So I personally take like a very audience approach when it comes to my like branding strategy, because to me, if you don't know who, you cannot even sell the what. And for cultural organization, the problem that I see the most is they think they are the audience because they want what they are producing. Of course, they would not be in that role if they did not have a specific interest in what they're giving. But just the fact that they are producing something, it already is different than the audience. So similarities is good, but not necessarily always in alignment. So by truly understanding the audience, to me, is when you can truly tailor an experience or an offer, a community specifically for them. You can truly understand how they move, like how they behave, their friction, their values, what motivates them, and you can be a few steps ahead.
For sure. And that can be very difficult sometimes, right? Because sometimes the audience is not one and the same thing. Like you have to really pinpoint the actual, I guess, highest percentage of the demographic you're going towards.
Yes. So by doing that, what I usually like to do is just having one persona. It's like your ideal client or audience that you're trying to attract. And by, again, truly understanding what they breathe and live for, whoever has some similarities or have like the same way of moving in this world, if you want, like they will be attracted to the offer because they shared some commonalities. And I mean, it's always based on assumption at first, because specifically when the offer is new. But the thing is, and something that I see often too, is that they see building a persona as a checkbox and then they never revisit it.
Okay.
But
it has to be the underlying kind of theme of the organization and all the offers, right?
Well, but also if we just look at how the world has changed since COVID, if your persona is still the same since COVID, well, the world is so different. Like just the introduction of AI was not as much as like how we're using it now and all of the products that we have. So what does that say about the audience? So if you need to also, it is a living and breathing persona. They're aging with you. Maybe there's new people coming in, new generations. Like if you look at millennials and Gen Z, completely different types of people. So you need to reassess and like look, like you need to observe. That makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. I guess it's a lot of trial and error and like looking at, I guess, the whole audience as one living, breathing kind of.
Well, you look at
average.
one person. It's like whenever we do the persona, it's like we give it a name and like an age, like do they have kids? Not like what do they do? Like when do they check their phones? Like I go very much like in details. I want my clients to know what are they watching on Netflix. And by doing that, again, like you can tailor and you can communicate in a specific way. But whoever has like similarities, let's say her name is Alex, then you can see, oh, well, Alex has friends that have similar, but it's not necessarily tailored for her friends. But Alex might bring her friends. And that's how the audience will widen.
Nice. Yeah, it's getting those common connections.
Exactly.
So you talk about design that resonates and sparks action. What are some key elements that make a brand stick with its audience? I know we just went over this a little bit in the last question, but.
Yeah. So basically, again, it's going to be a broken record because audience, right? When you know them, you can design for them and you can truly make an offer that is, like I said, for them. Not for you, not for the board, not for anyone else, for them. Because if they are not there, then nothing else exists, right? And basically, like a design that's like, do you mean graphic design or like designing? Because design has so many different facets.
Yeah, that's the thing. In your industry, design is like all of the above, right? So let's just say like, let's say graphic design. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So something that I see often is like specifically in branding is trying to bring everything and at the forefront and saying everything at once. Like even when designing a logo, I get clients, it's like, well, like, let's say this, let's have a tagline and everything. No, it's not meant for that. Like you want to build an environment, an atmosphere. And I think that the key specifically now is to leave a little bit of mystery, a little bit of interpretation for the audience. Because if there's no curiosity, then they won't lean in because it's already there.
Yeah, it's almost like an art at that point. Like if you go to a
Yes.
gallery, you have to see how every piece of art speaks to
Yes.
you individually. And
Yeah.
that's the same with a brand. Like
Yes.
You have to let it.
You're speaking my language right now.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice. Yes. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And a lot of brands will chase trends as well.
Yes.
So you focus on meaning and longevity. How can organizations strike that balance between staying relevant and staying true to their identity?
So I personally see trends as a tool and not the main thing. Like there's a lot of creators and content creators that are doing it really well right now. And we mostly see it on social media that whenever there's like a pop culture moment, then it's everywhere with memes and stuff like that. That is trendy, but it's gone like that. You cannot build on that. You can use social media and those trends like as a vessel to bring them to what's familiar. Like you can bring them to your website, to a form, like basically like bringing them to what you want them to do in that moment.
Okay, nice. So you come from a fine arts background. How does that influence the way you approach brand strategy compared to a more traditional marketing plan?
Yeah. So I'm so proud of that one because when I was studying fine arts, like I got told often like, what are you going to do with a BFA? And I'm just like, I'm so much smarter and you don't even know if you're being cocky. But basically the way that my BFA like taught us to see was to go beneath the surface and looking at all the layers, at the multiple ways to get to a conclusion. Because when we look at a picture, you can see something, I can see something else, but it's still the same picture. And yet, we're having the same conversation about that same picture. What I liked the most was building exhibitions. And we had to build one like in Fort Erie. And if we think about how exhibitions are built, it's the exact same thing as building a brand for a business because there's a theme, there is a narrative, there is like a message that is transpired. It is meant to evoke something, emotions. Sometimes it's meant to be bought. Sometimes it's just the experience. And this is the same with branding.
That's great. Yeah, there's like an underlying symbolism. And it goes back to the fact that you said, like, you have to leave some mystery. Like,
yes.
How would a regular person, because marketing through analytics is a lot different than marketing through intuition and doing something like with that fine arts background. So how would you kind of leave some mystery in between? That's kind of a nuanced question maybe, but.
I mean, I think it's, again, like I personally like to give the minimum. Like if I look at the Ottawa Design Club, like how we build our event, like branding, like and we have a brand, like, and then we have like sub brands for all of our events, which is really interesting. And we just say enough. Who are the speakers, the date, the space, and the theme of the event. And that's it. Okay. We don't need to say what food is going to be there on the main poster. We don't need to say what like drinks. We don't need to say like dress appropriately for weather. We don't need to say it all. We don't need to put all of the logos of our sponsors because once people are in the space and they're there, like they will discover. The experience is tailored in a specific way. But if we were to, again, give everything, even quotes of the speakers that we have been rehearsing with, why would people show up?
Yeah, they see the whole experience on the sign.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, why would I pay $30 for a ticket to go? It's already there.
Okay, interesting. It's like being a person with strong boundaries. If you call into work,
Yes.
For
Yes.
some reason, you don't need to give your boss the reason why. So
Exactly.
then you're kind of, who's that mysterious girl in that?
Yeah. No, exactly. And it's like, if you're like questioning it, that's good.
Yeah, nice. I like that. Okay, cool. So can you share a practical example where strategy transformed a design project from looking good to actually moving the needle in an organization?
Yes. So there is one client in particular that I'm thinking about, and they are called 44.4 Mother Artist Collective. It's an artist collective. So they came to me, they wanted a visual identity, but I don't do anything without strategy, of course. And they were 12 mother artists, different mediums, different voices, different even views on motherhood itself. But they're all artists. And they all have like strong will and they want to move together. But right now it was just like all over the place. So by giving them strategy and even a blueprint on how they can work together, and it was just by finding values, their goals, they now move in a different way. And they might not even know that it's because of brand strategy, but just the fact that it's written down and that they read it, I think it just brings everyone in the same lane, if you want. And on the design side, that was very interesting because yes, they're a collective, but they're also individual artists. So very big challenge for me to do that. So the way we did it, because it's called 44.4, we made the point very prominent with it, and we added a distinct color where we gave a specific color for each of the members. So now they have individuality. They all have their own logo with that dot. And we even added like this, I call this like a visual asset where all the dots are side by side with all the colors. So then it's like we are a team or we are individual. And it works because if there are only 4 of them exhibiting, it's just 4 dots or 6 or the 12. And it was just like a smart way, very much like a small visual cue that says it all.
For sure. So the 444 is the same. And then the dots are different based on that one person.
Yeah.
That is, I actually got goosebumps a little bit.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool. I love that. Okay. So you founded the Ottawa Design Club, which has grown into a global creative platform. What can you tell us about community building through that experience? I'm sure
there's
global.
There's so much running through my mind right now because it's been 5 years and it's just like there's so much that happened. But so I guess what I can tell you is that this is personally where I have learned the most on brand strategy, because I had to switch the my role where I was no longer giving strategy. I had to actually implement it. So that was very interesting. And I actually did one of the biggest mistakes that I tell my clients not to do, which was designing for myself. I did that. And there is actually a funny story with that, if I may. So it was about like our third in-person event after COVID. We had been running during the pandemic. So we offered like online events and stuff like that. And I had been living and breathing the Ottawa Design Club. And we had this event. It was called Beyond the Mark. And we had a tattoo artist that was talking. And I was like, wouldn't it be so cool if like you gave me a tattoo that's like in the brand of the event because you marked me. And then like we could have like that video playing of you tattooing me when we introduced you on stage. And she was like, oh my God, this is so cool. Let's do it. I'll always be the devil on your shoulder to get a tattoo.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, cool. And we even had a temporary tattoo station as like a way to engage and saying, oh, we marked the community. So, and it was the same tattoo that I got. So then I go on stage and I'm like, who here got a tattoo? And a few hands like, they got raised. And I'm like, well, our way of marking you, but in return, you have marked me as the founder. And this happened. And then I pull up the video and I pull up my sleeve, this is the tattoo, and crickets. I could hear the lights buzzing. I could hear my own heartbeat. And I'm like, what happened? Like
in my mind, that's like a sick idea. Like,
right?
It's not like you marked me. This is like forever.
Yeah. And I'm like, I got a tattoo for entertainment. Like, what? Like, you know? But no, it was a big branding gesture that was way too soon. So I was running, like, right? I was like breathing it. Like I said at the beginning, it was my life. Mm-hmm. They were just starting to get to know us, like the audience, and they were not trusting us yet. And yet I'm like, yeah, big gesture. So that's why they didn't understand it. If it was done today, we would have like a completely different reaction. But I learned, and now I have this sick story to tell on podcasts.
Would you do it again today, though? Like, would you set up the same studio and be like, 5 years ago, we did this, and to commemorate?
Oh my gosh, that would be so cool.
With like
yes, I would. Like, I'm always down to get inked. So yes.
Amazing. Okay, nice. We'll try that out. I'll look out for it.
But on the global scale, that's it, right? It's like that was such a I don't even see it as a failure now, but it was like a fail moment because I'm like, what? Like, what happened? But it was just like, hey, I did a mistake. And if I flip the script, then we can render for the audience and not for me.
Totally. And I guess at the same time, like any business owner knows, when you are in the business, you're looking at it from an ant perspective, like you're running with it, and everybody else is looking at it from 30,000 feet above.
Yes.
Kind of. So
yes,
I get exactly what you mean. Mm-hmm. For sure. And I know that's why we need professionals to help us out. Nice. So for listeners who want to build their own creative community, what advice would you give them on starting small but scaling impactfully?
Well, first of all, I think you need to map it out. And that's something that I did not do. Clearly, I got a tattoo. But I think having an idea of where you want to bring it, that's hard because sometimes it's like, well, something that I see is people aren't dreaming big enough and they stop themselves. So when you allow yourself to dream really big on what it could be, it's way easier to actually go backwards. So then you can break it down, give yourself some like small goals and a way to achieve that big goal at the end, that big dream, if that makes sense.
Okay. That's a nice way of putting it, because I feel a lot of the time people are very scared of that. I know I would be, but you know.
It's just like it's in increments. Because when you're looking at it, like you're here, but you want to be here, that's a huge mountain. But if you say, hey, first step, second step, then it's more, digestible.
Nice. Yeah. So I like that. Start big, work backwards.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you've collaborated with Adobe and cultural institutions like the Ottawa Jazz Festival. What makes for a strong designer-client relationship, especially on a big public-facing project?
That's the trust your designer.
Yeah, fair enough.
Right?
Yeah.
But so there is a lot to it, right? Like, so first of all, where the client gets worried, it's when things are poorly communicated.
Right.
So on the designer front, like you need to ask the right questions, making sure that you fully understand the brief. But the client also needs to know what they want to achieve. I'll know it when I'll see it. No, run. Like as a designer, it's like massive red flag. Like I'm like, okay, I don't even want to recommend you working with someone because you'll never be happy because you don't have a vision. So having a clear goal on the client front, very important. And then the designer communicating and asking the right questions and just bringing the client onto the design journey.
Nice. Okay. So event branding is one of your specialties. What are some overlooked details that can make or break an event's visual identity?
So for any like organizations or event, usually an event will come from an organization. So, and it's important for that organization to have their branding that is solid and that people recognize. Now, for event, because it is set in a time and place and a specific year, that's where you can actually have fun with trends, because it's a marker of time. If we look at a festival per se, right? Like you will want to buy the merch with the date, with whoever was there, with the lineup, and like whatever is that cultural context of that festival. You want to have that vibe, but that vibe will change with time. So I say do sub-brands. So sub-brands is like mini derivative with a small refresh or like trendy of that year with what you already have. It's important to have visual cues from the main organization for people to recognize that it's your offering, but then have fun with it.
Great. Yeah, you got to tie it all back. But
yes,
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you ensure your work not only looks good in a deck, but lives and breathes in the real world, on stage, in merch, in print, and beyond?
Taste.
Yeah, I guess that's what it comes down to, for sure. Okay. Moving on.
I don't know what I say. I can expand if you want. I mean,
no, for sure. If you want
experience.
Some of us
too.
don't have taste. Like, don't.
I'm sure you do. But see, like there's always like, again, by knowing the audience, you can also know their taste. So that's also something like, and you want to design, that's where brand strategy and design like merge, and it creates like this wonderful world, because whenever you like something so much, like we see coffee shops like selling t-shirts.
Yeah. And
sometimes there's like a whole culture around that coffee shop. And that's where merch like become like you want to even wear and represent that shop. And that says a lot about what that coffee shop maybe have built with their community. So that's to me what is memorable is what it represents, because for anything that we consume, event, product, TV, everything, it says a lot about who you are. So when you flip it backwards, it's like, what does it say about the audience when they purchase this, or they come to our event, or they do this? Well, they want to live and breathe it, wear it. And if the answer is yes, then you know that you have something. And a true yes, not just, of course, because that also happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The deeper yes, not just to be polite, but yeah, for sure. I feel like a lot of brands, people do tie themselves to brand. Like whether you even have like an Android or a smartphone or an iPhone, Like, I don't want to date him because he has an Android. Like, blows my
location
mind,
where you live, like everything matters.
Yeah.
Everything.
For sure. It all comes back to that identity.
Right.
Nice. Okay. So if someone listening is a creative professional who wants to transition into a strategy-driven design, what's the first step they should take?
This is so hard because we see I'm going to be blunt here. We see a lot of fakes, or I see a lot of fakes. There's a lot of people that will call brand strategy social media strategy, and that's very different. Yes, it's public facing. Yes, you're interacting with, engagement, not the same at all. So my biggest recommendation is actually learn from different sources and see who is fake, see who is real for yourself, and take a little bit of everywhere. Make your own specific offer with what you resonate. Like my personal approach is obviously audience, but someone else could be messaging, or it could be core purpose. It really depends. And then I have clients that are coming specifically for audience. Others might be looking for something else, but that's okay. They can go to those other brand designers instead.
For sure. So would you say you should follow your intuition a little bit more at that point?
Yes. There is a book that is very advanced, and I really like this writer. His name is Marty Neumeyer, and it's called The 5 Meta Skills. It's a hand. So basically like each finger is a meta skill. It's the best brand strategy book that I have ever read, because it talks about intuition in it, and that I relate to a lot. But it also talks about putting it to test evaluating it. Again, advanced, but once you understand this book, that's when you know that, okay, I actually know how to do strategy.
Right. And kind of moving off that a little bit, we were talking about this a little bit before the podcast started, but you don't use any kind of analytics to test your audience per se.
It depends.
Okay.
It depends. So analytics, it's like, it always depends on what, because branding is hard to measure when you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like clicks or like impressions or stuff like that. It's really much like, or even metrics in buying something. It's to know that a brand works, it's when your business is surviving, really, or actually even more than sorry, it's thriving.
Okay.
Like when people again want to associate. So there's analytics, because everything is related.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, it's part of the brand strategy, is part of the business DNA.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to audience, specifically personas, there is like agencies that will do full like analytics of that. That's with focus groups.
Okay.
I personally don't believe in them. But
Okay.
like that's maybe a whole other conversation.
Which I do want to get into, but I feel like I'll leave people to look
Okay,
up
okay,
to you for
okay.
that, unless you want to get into it now.
I mean, it's just because it's a controlled environment.
Yeah.
So whenever it's controlled, people feel like it's not an honest answer.
Yeah.
Because they know, and it's like you're asking them a question. They know it's yes or no.
Mhm.
There's no space for maybe.
Yeah.
And what you really can measure is having, let's say, your product on a shelf and you going and seeing if people notice it, if they pick it up, if they read, how do they like interact with it? That's real measurement. But how is that in analytics?
Right, for sure. Because I feel like you can, well, a lot of people try to measure clicks or revenue,
Yes.
but
Which is important,
yeah, for sure.
but not everything.
Yeah. And I also want to say, like, if a brand is kind of failing, how would you know to look back to the actual brand identity itself? Or,
It's not always identity, because identity is what we see, right?
Mhm.
It's how we recognize like what makes Nike visually Nike, or like iPhone, like Apple and stuff like that. But that's very interesting that you brought this up, because that's brand architecture. And it's like looking from a bird's eye view, everything, and seeing what is broken and how it's affecting. It's like if there's a crack in the foundation, your whole house is at risk.
Mhm. So you have to see where the stone dropped and where the ripple
Yes,
effect is kind of going
Exactly.
into.
And if you can go and retrieve it, so there's no ripple effect.
Okay, nice. So that's
Yeah.
like a whole different story, I guess. at
Yes,
that point.
yeah.
But- okay. And I do want to go back, because you host events, you create zines, and you create panels. And I'm sure many other mediums outside of that. Which have been the most effective for fostering engagement, and why? I'm sure they all have their place, but
All of them have a different purpose and have a different measure of success. But I think what's important to think about is, because they're for us, like this is mostly under the Ottawa Design Club, it doesn't matter in which order it is consumed.
okay.
That, and the end result is that we want to create a feeling of community and feeling good. So for events, there's like a specific purpose, because our speakers, it's very much we love the failure story and how we overcame like that failure, and because we only see the good stuff most of the time. So the measurement there, it's people telling us, that's what I needed to hear. I was about to quit, and now I want to move forward.
Mhm.
Or within our networking hour, it's like, I met my new best friend here, or I got a new job. So that's a really great measurement. For the zine itself, that's more of a lasting impact, because it's printed. And with them, we also do a launch event where most of the time it's in an art exhibition. So there's multiple touch points. So there's the like in time, in situ, like touch point, and then there's something that they can read. And again, doesn't matter if they see the zine first or they see the art on the wall first, the experience is still, I think, everlasting. I would like to think about that.
For sure.
And for the people that are participating too, it's such a loaded question, to
No,
be honest.
For sure. But I guess it's about like what what someone would gravitate to first as well. Because if you put out all these
Yeah.
mediums and say we're going back to you are catering to one person, her name's Alex, and you know,
Yes.
you're putting everything to Alex. You're creating all these mediums so all those different Alexes can find what they will based on, you know, what they connect with the most
Mhm.
into those areas.
Yes.
So it's probably important to put out as many mediums as you can, would you say? Or
It depends, because if it's too much, then it becomes messy.
yeah, you're
And then
lacking the mystery.
Yes, it's too much mystery. It's like confusing, and you don't want that.
Okay.
Well, when there's like an overarching theme, like for us, because yes, zine, you might say, well, it's printed, but to us, it was important to have it because not everyone that we want to highlight wants to go on stage and wants to share their story in that way. Like
Mhm.
stage fright is real. So by having something printed where they can write and stay a bit more anonymous and think about exactly what they want to say is still giving them a platform, but in a whole different way.
Mhm.
And we're hoping that even with the zine, right? Like we add the website, the handles, we're hoping that that has a ripple effect in connection. The people that buy it then seek out the artist that they found and maybe even have conversations with them.
Mhm.
So that's, I guess, like what we're like, hopefully I'm answering the question. Because again, there's so many layers to this.
Yeah, because it could really depend on, you
Yeah.
know, what your brand even represents at that
Yes,
point, right?
yeah,
Like
exactly.
you should choose based on what the brand is itself. I feel like this is a good time to hold
Yeah.
up the zine too, because
There you
it is beautiful. Like I would, you know, here, maybe show it to that camera. Yeah. See, I would pick that up if it was like on a coffee table or if it was in a
Like-
coffee shop.
like-
Like it's
Inside, let's see.
It's-
Wait, I can try to find like some really cool.
yeah, because it is like a coffee table book
Yes,
with amazing, great
this
Ottawa
is one of
artists.
my like favorite. There you go. There you go.
Yeah, there, that one. Yeah, that's super cool. Yeah.
It's like some fun. We had some fun with some special inks, like, and even like we did some cool stuff in the spine, like some.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I like that.
Yeah, we just won a design award for this, so we're very happy.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. Okay, so what's one principle you live by as a designer and strategist that you think could help anyone, whether they're an entrepreneur, artist, or community builder?
Never forget who you're doing it for.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. Nice. Okay. Is there any one person that has kind of changed your life trajectory or kind of shifted your life path?
I went to Design Thinkers in Toronto, which is a conference that happens once a year. And Tina Roth Eisenberg, which is the founder of Creative Mornings, was speaking. And after her talk, she invited us to slide into her DMs and ask some questions. And she did say, I might not answer all of them, but she answered mine. And my question was, I'm about to start my own community project. As someone who built community, what can you tell me? Like, as I'm about to start. And she said, never forget why you're doing it. And that was the best advice, because no matter what you do, even like in business, for the zines, never forget why you're doing it. And I got to saw her last year again at Design Thinkers. And I went to her and I said, by the way, you gave me the best advice ever. She had no recollection. She's like, I answered you. Wow, I must have been feeling in a good mood that day. So I'm like, I know you did, and you changed my life. And she was like, let's take a picture together. And I'm like, okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, all it takes is one person. Thank God she answered. I mean,
Yeah, because who knows, right?
I'm
Like,
sure you would have found your way, but
Probably,
it's so nice
but-
to have that support or kind of like have someone just kind of back you up for that.
well,
right?
I look at her career because she also has built like businesses. So it was a big moment, even though it was just split seconds.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, thank you so much for being here. I'm sure you're going to
Yeah.
change one of these lovely listeners' lives as well because you,
Hopefully.
yeah, Ottawa Design Club.
Yeah.
Yeah, check it out, everybody. I know I'm going to after this. Yeah, gotta get into the zine. Yeah, is there anything else you want to add or plug before we go?
So something cool that's happening is we are currently doing another zine that's coming out. It's called Pivotal Moments. It's been 2 years in the making with the New York Design Club.
Okay.
So we're taking the Ottawa Design Club international the zine international. We're doing a launch in New York City on October 8th, and we are doing our Ottawa launch on October 16th. So 2 launches, 2 cities, and lots of fun voices inside that new publication. So
nice. Well,
yeah.
Thank you so much, Izzy. I'm excited to check it out.
Thank you so much for having me.